And let's bring in more perspective on the story. We are once again joined by Dr. Rajan Kumar, professor from the School of International Studies, JNU. He joins us from Kazakhstan. Sir, does this agreement represent a genuine breakthrough? If yes, what appears to have motivated both sides to reach a deal at this stage of the conflict?
The main reason, Tanvi, why this deal happened, because both the sides had reached a kind of stalemate, both political and military stalemate kind of situation, where even after new attacks, US would not have achieved anything else because it already killed the supreme leader. But even then, there was no possibility of regime change. At the same time, Iran wants to get out of this kind of situation because Iran is facing a lot of economic difficulties because of the attack and also because of the blockade which has been created by United States in the Hormuz. So essentially, both the countries wanted to get out of the deadlock. The only thing is that the problem was the conditions which were put by both the sides, because Iran wanted a complete waiver from the sanction and also the release of the frozen assets, etc. And US was not willing to do that unless and until it kind of clearly says that it will not develop nuclear weapons in the future. So that was the main issue, and Trump wanted to show something to his domestic audience. And I think what has been included at least in the document, what has been included, that Iran will not procure and enrich uranium for nuclear purposes. So I think that with that message, probably President Trump can communicate to his people that yes, it has achieved something and Iran can say that it has managed to stop the war. It's a kind of win-win situation for Iran because the sanctions are going to be waived. Sanctions are going to be lifted. Many of the waivers it has received, it didn't come under pressure of United States. So Iranian side is much more happier today, if you ask me, compared to the American side. America wanted to lift the blockade which was created in Hormuz by Iran, and that Iran has agreed. And that is the only achievement. But if you if you see the pre-war condition, so Hormuz was already open. So in a way, US has not achieved much. US has gone to the pre-war kind of situation with this deal. But yes, Iran has achieved quite a bit. First, it refused to surrender. It didn't surrender, so that's a huge kind of achievement that can be used by the Iranian leadership. Second, this Hormuz blockade by the US, that is going to be lifted. And sanctions, the most important. Iran has been facing sanctions for a number of years, more than 10 years now. And maximum sanctions, no kind of technology transfer, nothing was happening between Iran and most of the Western countries. So that lifting of the sanction and releasing the frozen assets and the commitment of $300 billion for this development of economic and other development of Iran. So Iran, that's a major achievement for Iran, and that's why this deadlock has been lifted. Whether this will hold or not, that's an issue because again, experts in United States and opposition party critics are saying that Trump has achieved nothing. That's the one problem from American side. But also, let's not forget this Prime Minister Netanyahu, because the deal, the first statement, if you see the first point, it says the 14 out of 14 points, it says that there'll be no military attack, including Lebanon. Now, the question is that whether the ceasefire can hold in between Lebanon and Israel, that is an issue. And if that doesn't hold, then again, ceasefire will be, the deal will come under pressure. So we'll have to wait and watch. But it seems that the deal has happened, and both the sides would like to continue the deal despite some kind of mishappenings here and there.
Okay, on the terms of the agreement, what verification mechanisms would be needed to ensure compliance to the fact that Iran does not develop or acquire a nuclear weapon?
I think the memo that I have read, all the details are not available as yet, but it says that the deal would be binding and it would be verified and kind of endorsed by United Nations Security Council. That again is an issue that needs to be.
Okay, Dr. Rajan, request you to hold your thought here. Has some flashpoint coming from France. Prime Minister Narendra Modi now beginning to engage with the CEOs. We are expecting details of this interaction in a while. Prime Minister Narendra Modi engaging with the CEOs of the French companies for furthering economic and industrial cooperation between India and France for mutual benefit. So PM's is meeting French CEOs today. This includes Benoit Bazin, CEO of Alstom Group, Arthur Mensch, co-founder and CEO of Mistral AI, Rodolphe Sade, Chairman and CEO, CMA CGM Group. So it's a successive series of meetings that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to undertake. These meetings are going to have discussions expected on maritime trade, port modernization and resilient global supply chains. Let me go back to Dr. Rajan. Dr. Rajan, apologies there for this news coming in there from France. But let's go back to our discussion on the Middle East. Yes, you said it is definitely an agreement which is going to open a new chapter perhaps in US-Iran relations?
Well, that is a possibility, although I'm not so sure about that. But what might happen that gradually, if the sanctions are lifted, but let me tell you, the regime has not, remains the same. The kind of hostility, adversity, etc., which has been created with the war, that also remains. But the public sentiment in Iran is not very positive either towards Israel or towards United States. So how will that change? We don't really know. Whether the ceasefire, the commitments which have been made by the Trump administration at this point of time, whether that will hold after a year or two, that also is difficult to say. So, but for the time being, yes, there is a possibility that, if sanctions are lifted, if the normalization of relationship takes place between the two countries, the relations are likely to improve. And if that happens, mark my if, but if that happens, that will impact hugely the kind of regional geopolitics that you see in West Asia, because the Israel will get really, really nervous at this point of time, because Israel is not happy with the deal. Israel wanted to finish its agenda of that Iran should not have capacity to develop nuclear missile. Iran should not have any kind of this nuclear enrichment facility, etc. So, and Israel wanted the regime change, complete regime change. So since that has not happened, Israel has been sidelined by the Trump administration. Israel is not happy. So Israel will try to play its own lobby, try to influence the policymakers in US. So that again is a challenge which will come in the future. But for the time being, there is a possibility. It's a very good sign, not only for the region of West Asia, but for the entire globe, because the kind of crisis, energy, food crisis, etc., that many of the countries were facing, that could have led to economic collapse in many states. And unfortunately, with this deal, the energy prices are likely to go down, fertilizer supply, etc., will resume, although it will take time. But again, the world is very optimistic with this deal.
And perhaps it would open doors for some breakthrough even on the other conflict raging for years now, the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Thank you very much, Dr. Rajan Kumar, for joining us on DD India News Hour for your analysis on both the topics of the Viva Tech Summit and the US-Iran deal.
Thank you so much.